Good morning, Chair Postman, members Garrett Ballendroth, staff and guests. Lobbies are open and the recording has begun.
Thanks, Justin. We'll convene the Liquor and Cannabis Board Caucus meeting for July 25th, 2023. The first item on our agenda is our quarterly human resources review, and the director, Anita Bingham, is here to take us through that. And I think there's slides. Yes?
Yes.
All right, I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning. Turn it on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Give you some updates on HR related topics today. We have quite a few slides, but most of them go pretty quickly. So we should be able to get through this pretty well. So the first thing is our wellness update. We do have our wellness fair confirmed for September 20th from 10 to 2. It's on everybody's calendar. We're partnering with the Department of Veterans Affairs. And so far we just have 10 or so vendors confirmed, but we're working on trying to get others. It's nice that we're going to be in person again after our COVID hiatus. So it's a good opportunity to have people get together and mill around and look at wellness vendors.
Are we doing that here or over at their place?
We're doing it here.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Hey, Anita, I have a quick question. Since I've never participated in one of those, can you give me an example of what kind of vendors we have participate in that usually?
Oh gosh, sometimes we have like local companies that do nutrition or you know, just anything under the umbrella of you know, wellness is who they reach out to. So I think it's kind of a wide variety. We usually have a giveaway, so if you come, you'll get your giveaway in person. Otherwise, we'll make arrangements to get it to you.
Great, thank you.
And then the softball team, as you've probably been watching Rachel's pictures and updates, have had an exciting season. It's been fun to see her updates. I think they had their playoff game yesterday. I haven't heard how that went, but it's really nice to see all those folks getting together and getting some exercise, and different members I know from the agency have shown up to watch and participate. So that's been a fun thing. Moving on to some legislative updates. House Bill 1533 expands the redaction of employee records for survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, harassment, and stalking. So in addition to the address confidentiality program that we already have in place through the Secretary of State's office, people can now also participate by signing a sworn affidavit with the agency. The ACP program or the attestation forms are filed in a confidential file, not in the personnel file. Currently, the program services about 5,000 residents, so it's a widely needed and used program. And we just recently had our public records folks sign non-disclosure forms so that we could share with them the few people that participate for the agency, so they can watch out when they do like email polls to make sure that work locations don't get shared, that kind of thing. With the new law, there's a bit more that we have to look out for in terms of not releasing information. So we're making sure that they get all the information to do that properly. And Senate Bill 5123 adds cannabis use to the anti-discrimination provisions for pre-employment. So if people are using cannabis recreationally, then we're not able to discriminate in terms of hiring. There is an exemption though for enforcement officers. So that will take effect next year, and we'll be just doing some work to make sure there's not other safety sensitive positions that we need to include with that. But right now we know for sure that the officers will be exempt from that. And 1187 adds union employee communication to the list of privileged communications. I reached out to OFM because I wasn't quite sure what this really means for us. And she said that the legislator never answered the question of who owns the privilege, even though it was consistently requested. So the bill could take litigation to figure it out. We don't have to be too concerned about this yet, though. We need to know how the unions will be applying the new law and anticipate varying union positions. And OFM will be meeting internally and with the AGO to discuss the new law and provide advice to employees. Senate Bill 1200, information sharing with the unions. This is a new requirement that we have to share that personal information listed there with the unions for their members. They're only allowed to use the information for representation and not for other purposes. And because we know sometimes people are sensitive about having their personal information out there, we're making sure that people know this is a law and we're complying with it when we do NEO. House Bill 1122 basically removed the blanket exemption that had been out there for WMS managers to collectively bargain. It's effective January 2024, and no CBA will be in effect until July 2025. We sent out a reminder to our managers to make sure that they stay neutral if they get approached with questions, and refer any questions to the Public Employment Relations Commission, PERC, so that we don't get in trouble there. And the Federation has already asked for a list of our WMS members, so we'll see if they end up coming here or not. OFM did mention at the last meeting that we had with them that they're really focused on Department of Corrections right now. So they have obviously a lot of staff, and so they're probably going for those bigger agencies at the get-go. All right, moving on to
Can I ask you one legislative question?
Sure.
The last two bills you mentioned, I wonder if there's, so on 1200, SB 1200, which was the one about unions get the information, including your personal cell phone. And it said you don't have to be a member of the union, but represented by a union. But what about in the case you were just talking about? So the Federation now is interested in trying to represent WMS employees here. They don't get that, right? So they have to go through other channels to try to, okay.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the next two slides are taken from the new exit survey dashboard that's on State HR's website. The statewide exit is the main data collection for over 100 state agencies, boards, commissions, and higher education. The survey is administered by State HR. The culture and engagement chart displays positive response satisfaction levels. So negative and neutral scores are not represented here. At the LCB, employees are provided the exit survey link prior to them leaving the agency. And any employee who's leaving is eligible for the survey except for people that are terminated, because we know they probably won't have great things to say about us. So let's see what we have.
Is that us we're looking at, or is that statewide?
That is us we're looking at.
Oh.
Yeah, so in the last 3 years, and in fiscal year 21, we had 34. In 22, we had 38, and in 23, we had 35. You probably noticed there that management effectiveness and support and involvement is kind of low there at 25% of people that are satisfied with that. So maybe something we need to kind of focus on. You can see that benefits and resources and training are very high, but those two areas came in a little lower for us. Okay, again, this data is for 3 fiscal years. So other than white, Asians had the highest percent leaving the agency. No one leaving identified as veteran or LGBTQ+, and we had more females than males leaving. The age groups were fairly split. The 3 reasons given were non-perm ending, retirement, and voluntary resignation. And the age group of 55 to 64 chose not to disclose why they were leaving, so we don't know. This slide is showing appointment by reason. The data is taken from the HRMS. We still have 1 month to go in this fiscal year, so that may change a bit. The LCB uses a personal action form, we call the PAR, to track any personal actions that happen to an employee. Appointments are actions representing new employments to the agency. And appointments are categorized by specific reason to new hire, non-perm, promotion, and transfer appointments. Other appointments include demotion, layoff, reversion, and other miscellaneous appointments. So we see that for the last 3 years, we've remained pretty steady and closely mirror now what we were pre-pandemic. Appointment by reason, again, the dotted line represents how we compare with the executive branch. Other appointments include demotion, layoff, reversion, and other miscellaneous permanent appointments. And we're almost even between our new hires and promotions, which I think is probably a healthy place to be. So the next few slides are comparing the LCB's people of color workforce to Washington state agencies. And we're currently about 1.1% below the enterprise. I don't know why that, oh, there it goes. It's just taking a while.
What is that showing though?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, there it goes. I
It's-
see.
Okay, this is a staged slide.
It's a mystery. The dotted lines will represent the labor force from the US Census Bureau. So we talked about that one. Overall, we're about 1.1% below the enterprise. And then looking at American Indian, we've made some positive gains there in the last 2 years. It's weird how, I guess you're gonna have to keep clicking. She must have tried to be fancy with this, which maybe didn't help us out too much. Let's see. For Asian, I'll have to talk to her about that. For the Asian, we're a little below the state. And for the Black community, we're a little above the state. Hispanics, we're both the LCB and Washington state fall well below the available job market, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And for people with disabilities, we're well above Washington state, and both the LCB fall behind what's available in the labor market. So this shows the last 3 years for the veterans. The numbers indicate the LCB is slightly above Washington state, and both the LCB are exceed what's available in the marketplace. So that's good. For women,
The LCB exceeds Washington state. The graph makes it look like the opposite. Sorry, now it'll take a minute. See, how come the
there-
Washington state ones look higher to me than the LCB ones, right? I can't
Um,
quite read the numbers.
yeah, looks like they're at 6.2 this year, and we're at 6.9. So
Oh, I see.
yeah, it's pretty close.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. For women, we have a slightly lower percentage overall. And for the LGBTQ plus, we're comparable with the state on that one. The next slides highlight our workforce by job class code, and these codes are determined by state HR. So they choose kind of who goes in what. The ones with just 1 or 2 people, we didn't highlight, just kind of to protect their sort of confidentiality. It's kind of easy to figure out who they might be. So let's see, moving on to those. The administrative profile is 34 people, and it includes people like our contract specialists, our data consultant threes, executive assistant, forms and records analyst, MAs, program specialists, and our records people. Our auditors have 11 people, and that's our revenue auditors. Budget and accounting have 18. That's our BA4s and fiscal analyst. Human resources, we have 8, and those are our HRC 3s, 1 through 4s. IT has 37, and you know there's a lot of different job classes within IT, so I didn't list them all. Licensing and regulations includes our administrative regulations analyst, our licensing specialist, and our regulatory analyst, and that's 46 people. Office and clerical just has 6 people. Those are our OA3s. Officials and administrators are our director, deputy, board directors, and WMS. Paraprofessionals have 47. Those are admin assistants, customer service, HRCA2, and licensing specialists. Protective service profile is the largest group with 91. Those are our LEO 1 through 4s. And this job class also has the highest percentage of veterans. So this slide is showing the percentage of people of color for the agency over the last 7 years. We've stayed consistent over the last couple of years. The next one is the management profile comparing the state with the LCB. We're higher in percentage of Hispanics, Black, not Hispanic, American Indian, and the LGBTQ community. Again, this data is what is in HRMS using the affirmative action forms, which is voluntary for people. Then we're going to look at race by division, just kind of go through these kind of quickly. That's the board, the director, deputy director, and HR. We combine those groups because there's a small amount of people. Education and enforcement. Finance. AT. Licensing and regulations. And moving on to training, unless there's any questions about that group.
Wonder what's your assessment when you look at those numbers? And obviously, people who select white is the majority of every one of them. Some more than others. How are we doing? And staying consistent is better than dropping, but we haven't picked up on that. And by job class, it changes quite a bit.
Yeah.
Some divisions, it changes quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it's just we're trying to do a lot of outreach to get the recruitments out to diverse groups. We continue, I think, to do a good job with that, but just bringing the applicants in is going to give us the best chance for improving those numbers. So
I assume this has been shared with management team, or will
this one
be?
has not yet, but I do plan to do that.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So moving on to training, the documentary Who We Are, which is the prerequisite to, sorry, Justin, to take in the DEI training. We assigned that out on June 9th to 87 supervisors and managers. And when Melissa pulled the information, we have 65, or about 74% of people that have completed the documentary. So that's pretty good. We're on a good track there, I think. And then on September 12th, we'll release it out to the rest of the agency. So we'll hopefully get everyone to watch that documentary, and then they'll be able to start signing up for the DEI classes through Department of Enterprise Services.
I just want to say, I watched it when it first came out. I thought it was incredible. it was so well done. The guy is
Yeah,
just
it's really good.
really just sort of speaks to you directly
Yeah.
So it's required, right?
It is, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think rather than say, we hope people will watch it, we expect everyone
Yes.
will. I think people will actually enjoy it. It is so engaging,
Yeah.
and sticks in your head in a really, I think, good way.
Yeah, I think so too. The management team watched it together and I thought we had a good conversation about it as well, so. Other training updates is we're having reasonable suspicion training here at headquarters on Thursday. The training is required for supervisors every 3 years, so we know that everybody's pretty much due because we haven't had it since COVID. So we're getting people signed up and that's a good thing. And then we'll be offering some classes over in Eastern Washington for the enforcement and auditor folks out that way. The DES supplier diversity training was assigned to 104 staff and 99 have completed that. So that's good because I know DES takes all their training very seriously. They can actually pull our ability to do procurements on our own if we're not compliant with training. So a lot of us had to take a lot of training related to that, to contracts management. And then the online mitigating implicit bias training, which is required for people that are serving on interview panels, is being sent out by our recruitment team every time we get a new person on an interview panel that we don't have a record of attending that. So far, we have 76 staff that have taken that, so that's pretty good. And then for policies, following the governor's directive to end the COVID-19 vaccination requirement as a condition of employees for state employees, we rescinded our policy because it's no longer needed. Any employee who was separated or left the state due to the COVID-19 mandate is eligible to seek reemployment and go through the normal process again. I think the unions were trying to get some sort of special status for them, but they weren't successful in that. So they have to go and apply and be rehired just like everyone else. And then policy 206 is our WMS policy, which is the framework for how we include people in WMS, evaluate them and reevaluate them. We updated it to require the members of the WMS committee to be in line with the WAC and also our agency procedure. And all the other changes were just minor in housekeeping. In terms of where we are with our arbitration cases, we still have one that's pending that should be coming out anytime now. We're surprised that we haven't seen it yet. We had one that was settled and we have one that's scheduled to be heard on September 22nd. And good news in terms of being able to support our business resource groups. Since we had some money left in our budget, we were able to give $40,000 to the business resource groups. There's a pool of money that we can now donate to, which makes it nice and makes it nice for them to have that support. The Interagency Committee of State Employed Women is not technically a BRG, but they are supported by the state, and we were able to give them $3,000. So that was a nice thing to be able to do. And with that, that was all I had, unless there's questions.
I've asked mine. Jim Raleigh, anything?
No, I actually going back to that last slide, what is the Washington, there was the two groups, I can't remember I was just curious about those groups that we gave money to. I don't know what they do.
BRG and
You're not familiar with the business resource groups?
No, I'm not.
Okay. They're, for example, the Build, which is Black United in Leadership,
They
is
support the various Washington.
yeah, they're
government
business resource groups that all state employees can attend. They used to be in person, but now that they're virtual, I think it's easier for people to go to those meetings virtually. And Tyrone from our licensing had been the chair of that, but he told me that he's actually passing that along to a new person this year. So he's in transition of, getting that person set up. But I can send you some more information if you'd
Yeah,
like.
just out of curiosity. Thank you.
Yeah. We are promoting those at NEO, and Jim Weatherly talks about them when he does his NEO as well. So they're getting a couple different exposures to the business resource groups, and we're encouraging people to participate if they would like to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that update. That takes us just to board member and executive assistant reports. I have one reminder for cannabis stakeholders. The last day to complete the survey for the sampling rule project is 11:59 on PM on Sunday, July 30th. So coming up, the survey's on our laws and rules webpage, and encourage anybody who's interested to go there and fill that out for us to help that process along. Dustin, anything from you today?
No, thank you, Chair.
Members, anything more to add before we adjourn? Okay. If not, then we will adjourn. We'll be back next Tuesday for a caucus, and then a board meeting the day after that. So we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.